welcome to Discover TV. I'm your host, Julian, founder of Discover TV as well, and I'm hanging out with Cliff Janit, music entrepreneur, musician, supporter of South African music. I'm trying to find all the correct words here, Cliff, because I go back a long time with you, back to the days of balcony TV over 10, 12 years ago.
That's right.
But also, having watched you through this industry, I mean, I started in 1986. Let's go back and have a look at when did it all start for Cliff?
Well, you started earlier than I did. I was in high school then, but in the 90s. I was not sure what to do, but I could play a bit of music. And by the mid-90s, I was in bands, playing venues, and learning how to do that.
Yeah, and that was really an interesting era for South African music because we really started to break through. After the big heydays of Clout and Rabbit, 80s saw more of a kind of introvert South African music scene. Whereas the 90s, you started to see the likes of Springbok New Girls, Lithium, Sarin Gas, etc., start breaking out from the mold of the cover band scenario, which I think was very important from a South African perspective.
Dave Matthews and Caesar, and absolutely.
So, I mean, how did that happen for you? Because, I mean, it wasn't just playing in bands. You guys started to record a lot of music and put stuff out there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you found the same thing. There wasn't a lot of support to guide you as a young musician. And that's actually fueled a lot of what I've done since. I had to learn how to write music. I had to learn how to play cover songs of my favorite artists, figure out how they did it, what keys they were writing in, how it worked for their voices, harmonies, counter melodies, whatever it is. In the first few years of songwriting, looking back, they were weak, compared to...
I remember some of the demos. I actually found some demos that Bill Burtis found of one of mine that was sent to Sony, or I can't remember who it was. And I listened back into it because he bought all these demos from the record label. It was horrible. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
I know. And there wasn't really that much to formal teaching us how to do it, was there? So by the late 90s, I was in the groove. I had a band called Alchemy.
Yes, remember it well.
We were a cover band mainly. It was like our day job. We earned money. And we started in nightclubs, playing all of that stuff, and moved over to more private functions and corporate. So we would play for Standard Bank, and we'd play for Amway and Apple and all of these different companies, and traveled the world doing that, getting booked all over the place. And we ended up in the States in the early 2000s. And we had a band called, so it was Alchemy was covers and Alter State was originals. We didn't want to mix the two.
Yeah. And
just as we were leaving here in 2002, we released an album. There's a song called Paradise that's still being played on local radio.
Wow.
Especially 94.2. It's in rotation still to this day. But
insane.
We didn't stay to build on that success. We left. We didn't even know until we came back that had actually happened. And got to the States and started again and built up.
But you actually broke it into the States as well. I mean, you got onto college radio, which is like, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, that's where you wanted to be as an artist. It wasn't about commercial radio. It was college radio. That's where it happened.
Yeah. I mean, I know Dave Matthews' band sold tens of thousands of CDs out of the trunk of their van.
Well, Nirvana, that's how they started. It was college radio doing the same thing.
And we were just at that point in the early 2000s where digital was coming in, social media was coming in, and how a band got signed was different.
Yeah.
So when I read old books of my favorite guys like Toto and Phil Collins or whoever, they did it the way we did it. They just got out there and played and got noticed. And that's why we went to the States. There isn't enough infrastructure or money in the industry in South Africa to get noticed in a meaningful way that can actually boost your career anyway.
Absolutely.
So the States was all about, we knew we were starting again. But it turned out to be a few years that were incredible. I learned everything I wanted to learn there because it's a proper industry there.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, because there's so much rivalry in music in America that to break through it is not easy, as we all know. And so many bands sound the same. There's 1,000,001 Nirvanas. There really is.
That's everything to do with downloading, I think.
Yeah.
I was reading an interesting book about all of that. And bands needed to sound different from each other in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Whether you love them or hate them, the Beach Boys had a sound.
Yeah. The Who
ABBA had a sound. Everyone had a sound.
The Doors had a sound.
Where now it's just a cookie cutter thing. Get in, get out of the studio as quick
There's a
as
sound,
you can.
everybody locks onto it, everybody tries to replicate it and make money out of it.
Right. It's a marketing wheel now.
Absolutely.
But we did get onto college radio. We had a number one around the States for a few months, which was cool. We've even got little clippings of us at number one, Alta State, and then John Mayer, and
Nothing wrong.
which we got a kick out of. And we got close. We got invited to do some really serious showcases. But by around 2005, I was 32, and I was tired of it. More than 1,000 performances.
Yeah.
You start to feel it in your bones a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we came back. My wife and I came back. We wanted to have kids. But I didn't want to perform, but I still wanted to stay in the industry. It's what I knew best.
So let's talk about coming back to South Africa. What happened then?
Well, I loved having my Saturday nights free, for one thing.
Absolutely.
But I joined up with a company called Music Mate. And at that stage, Music Mate was very solidly a retail group.
Yeah.
But for me, there was a turning point in America. We finished a demo at a studios called Tree Studios, famous studios. In fact, the mixing console that we mixed on, it was a Spirit mixer, and that's the exact mixer that was in the Police video, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. Not just the same model, it was that
mixer.
We were sitting there, we couldn't believe it, Mecca. And we finished that. It was an incredible week. I learned a lot from the producer. And then a band came in who were 19, and they were just as good as us.
And that's when you just go, okay.
And that's when I think, if I'm a record label, I'm going to sign the 19-year-olds. They're more marketable.
Absolutely.
So when I came back to South Africa, I thought, what could have happened if we'd had more guidance earlier on? Could we have got there quicker?
Yeah.
And so everything I've been doing since then has been to try and help and support that.
And I think that's a very good point, because I think that's kind of when we first met. I had just taken on the license for Balcony TV in Africa. For those that don't know, Balcony TV was pre-Discovered TV, was a platform to help undiscovered talent be discovered through one-camera music videos. I was trying to get this off the ground. I didn't have equipment. Literally was running this off a cell phone. I think back then, literally running it off a cell phone and my old little Canon 7D.
Yeah.
And we had nowhere to record the audio. I came and met with you, and I explained to you my vision. You were telling me about your vision of helping to support young talent as well, and really trying to, because I think that's the one thing that we lacked so much, especially back then. Still, recording was expensive.
Yeah.
Making a music video was expensive. A platform like Balcony TV would give guys an instant music video with a recording of their performance in high quality on a global stage. And for us, as Balcony, Music Mate became our partner and supporter in that. And that was thanks to you helping us to grow that platform. And we ran Balcony TV for 10 years in South Africa, with our biggest show being Jeremy Loops, which down south went over 500,000 views globally. And I'm hope to say that it helped him to really grow his international appeal. And many more other artists that were discovered. So, I mean, from that perspective, you guys were a big support. And I think that's what Music Mate eventually became to a lot of artists. And I always used to have artists, okay, well, you guys actually built rehearsal rooms. You had a studio at the Four Ways shop. I remember all of those kind of things, and going in, and there was teaching schools. So tell us a little bit about music schools. So tell us a little bit about that, because you say it changed from this retail environment, which I think is so important today. And I think now more than ever, it's become part of what the South African music industry really needs more than ever. Tell us a bit more about that, because it wasn't just a retail store.
No, so Music Mate ended up being a franchise with around 12 stores around the country. Some were small satellite stores. But we ran the company and the whole vision of it from Johannesburg, from that Four Ways shop. And there was lots of space to experiment. So you're right, we had a studio. Graham used to run that studio.
Yeah.
We had Pete selling backtracks to young artists who needed to record something. We had Bruce in his music school, Neil with his drum school. We had the Pioneer DJ Institute at the back.
Yep.
And the whole idea was to give youngsters a place to come where they could just accelerate their learning and find a direction for themselves.
Yeah.
The music industry is vast. You don't have to be a performer. You can be a producer, an engineer, a DJ. You can go into business, you can music law. there's so much to do, but I love the idea of supporting Balcony.
But not only Balcony, and if I go back, I think it was 2011. We brought the South African Music Awards back to Johannesburg,
Yes,
to
you
Monte
remember
Casino.
that.
And
Yeah.
Music Mate became the exclusive partner to the artists at the awards.
Correct.
We even landed up doing the Music Mate sessions for the South African Music
Correct.
Awards in store, where
remember that.
Cresta, who's now one of the biggest artists in this country,
Yeah.
first appeared live on
Exactly.
a video that we shot inside Music Mate. So, I mean, it wasn't just Balcony. With the South African Awards, you guys did a lot of support in terms of helping the artists as well as the backline audio and everything that happened at the awards. So that was a really amazing point as well.
I remember hauling a grand piano.
Yeah,
From our
for the
store.
Antwoord. It was for the Antwoord.
Yeah.
Yeah, freaking hell, man.
It's for me, that's what's always been lacking in South Africa.
Yeah.
Honestly, how well could you have done as a performer when you were young and wanting to perform?
Absolutely.
Had you had some guidance and so Music Mate till 2016 when I left, we built up that side of it.
Yeah.
They weren't sponsoring or endorsing or supporting anyone before I got there. And by the time we left, we had guys like Liquid Deep. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jason Hartman's a great example.
Yeah.
He was actually a Music Mate customer as a youngster.
Well, let's just go back for a second. You left Music Mate in 2016, and let's talk about from there what happened.
Well, Music Mate was a big wheel. Icons, the idea of Icons was, it's my own.
I always loved the name, I've got to say that.
Yeah.
The first time you ever told me the name, I was like, okay, that's a cool name.
It is kind of cool, yeah, because it's more open to other types of artists, not just music. And for them to feel like they're mini icons coming in, figuring out where they want to go. I mean, there's places like ASE, Academy of Sound Engineering. Every year you've got a few hundred kids graduating who have no idea what to do with it.
Absolutely no clue.
And we actually did a talk there, Kevin and I, like on a career day, which ended up being quite successful because no one's talking to them about that.
Yeah.
So it's a school and they learn, and they sure can solder a cable, but what to do with it, they don't know. So it's a similar theme, giving back, and how badly I wish I could have been 23 instead of 33 in that studio.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
You know, not to have regrets because I had a fantastic performing career, but wouldn't that have been something to have 10 years runway ahead of me? Because we were getting places there. That's the thing about America. You can get places.
But I think, so many guys go from the music side to the industry side a lot as well. And I think it's a natural evolution if you do it right. Is that, you can't play forever. Yes, the Phil Collinses, I was watching a clip the other day. He was in a wheelchair playing Genesis songs.
He's finished, yeah.
Yeah, shame. But I mean, there is a natural evolution to the other side of the fence as such. And I think one thing I've admired watching your career and being part of the whole Music Mate into Icons journey has been the fact that you've always remained constantly part of the industry.
Yeah.
From a perspective of supporting it. Because I think that's such an important thing. You can go to, there's so many times you go to a retailer or whatever, don't you want to support us? Yeah, but this and that. And it's like, yeah, but it's not about what you're giving, but it's about how you're supporting. We had times where I'd phone you on a Friday afternoon and go, Cliff, we've got a 16-piece band that we have to shoot tomorrow. I don't have gear. Can I borrow some? Yeah, sure, come in. We'll sort you out. And I think, that's quite an important part. And you talk about the name Icon, the young icons of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that's become more important than ever. So tell us about the process of starting Icons. I mean, this is your baby. It really is.
It is. We were doing events there before COVID, you remember?
Yeah, a lot.
We had a full-on restaurant and coffee bar there just to invite people, welcome them, come and hang out.
And we did a couple of showcases with artists, Liquid Deep.
Yeah.
Zion was there, and guys coming on a night and learning, showcasing their talent.
Exactly. We were hosting events. We were just music talk. You know, have some bands, have some musicians, have some career people, just talk to people coming in. Unfortunately, when COVID hit the event side, no one was allowed to come. And we've had to shift a little bit. But the idea of Icons remains the same, is that if anyone calls us on a Friday afternoon who we know, who needs something, I get the passion you have for what you're doing. And I get the need. I've got this show, please help. As you know, we sell we have clients who are nightclubs and corporations and banks, and sometimes they'll call us and say, it happened last week with Standard Bank. We put a whole experience center together for them. And then COVID hit, they haven't used it a lot. All of a sudden, their executives were coming down the next day. And they needed to wake this place up and get it working immediately and record. And we were there. We don't just see it as obviously it's a business, as everything is. But the whole idea is just to elevate what is going on out there. Because there's so much talent. There's no shortage of talent. It's just a question of fast-tracking, accelerating, and helping and guiding what people are actually able to do.
And I think, and again, the studio that we are sitting in here is part of that kind of process that's happened for us as DiscovrTV since we moved over from Balcony about 2.5 years ago. I sat with you and I said, right, this is what I want to do. This is where we want to take this. It's going to be more than just shooting bands on balconies like we did with Balcony TV for 10 years. I want to get right into the music industry, live performances, podcasts, interviews, behind the scenes, unboxings. And I'm proud to say that Icons has now become a full partner of DiscovrTV, and we do unboxings. We've launched Icons TV in partnership. This studio now, we have artists come and perform here from all over Africa. And it's all proudly supported by Icons and your partners in terms of like Shure microphones, et cetera, that we've been able to bring into the game. So kind of in a nice easy sentence, I suppose, what's your vision of Icons for the future?
I think post-COVID, to get back to hosting young musicians as much as we can in there. Even we're renovating right now, as you know. Yeah. But even to have a recording studio in there that guys can come in, try things out, try and find a sound, even if it's a quick demo, doesn't matter. But everything that we do there needs to have an interactive side to it. And that's really the vision, just help these guys to figure out where they're going quicker.
And for Cliff, the musician, because that hasn't stopped. Let's just get back to that for a second. I know you've been writing and recording constantly for the last couple of years, for the last quite a few years. What's happening on the music side for Cliff?
Still writing and recording. As you said, I've always preferred the studio to the stage. So I don't know if I'll perform much going forward. But I've been chatting with the producer from Tree Studios. His name's Dan Hannon, American guy. He's gone on to record Ed Sheeran and other guys. He's had a great career. And he's keen to hear some of the stuff, and we'll probably do an album in the next couple of years. Cool. Now that my kids are big and I've got some space, and I can get recording, it's been fantastic. I still love that process.
Cool, man. Well, for us, thank you so much for being a partner of DiscovrTV and Alchemy TV over the years, and for supporting local music in a big way, because I think for a lot of these artists, they wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't for someone like you getting behind artists and helping them as well in their hour of need, because we know this industry is very small and can be very tough. It's not an easy industry to play in. And gear's expensive,
It is.
It really is.
And the same can be said of you, the same compliment.
Thank you, I appreciate
the support that you give guys out there. It's a platform they would never have.
Well, we do it together, guys. DiscovrTV, Icons, that's what it's all about, supporting young talent. And let's see how we can take it even more forward and hopefully break more South African artists onto the international stage. We've seen an artist like Trezor recently, written a track on the brand new Drake album. He's apparently, I heard yesterday, over 500 million streams. This was a guy who was a car guard in Durban.
Wow.
Just a couple of years ago.
And you work with Black Coffee a lot?
Yeah, we worked with Black Coffee. We've worked with Salon Musician, Msaki, some big, really cool artists that are breaking on the global stage right now, of which I know, I remember during lockdown, I was phoning you, Black Coffee needs to do a live stream. We've got to get some gear there. Please help. I sent his producers around to buy, what are those little focus rights, so that we can get all the DJs online and actually get it going. So that was, I think that helped a lot of South Africans through the lockdown, where the artists like Black Coffee were playing live from their home with equipment supplied by Icons. So thanks very much for that.
Anytime, and there's plenty still to do.
Oh, yeah. So this is just the beginning, guys. We're going to come out of this COVID, and we're going to come out stronger and better than ever. I'm Julian. This is Cliff. This is DiscovrTV Talks. See you next time.